Hi everyone, it's the Thrifty Fur Baby Foster Mama here, and today I'm going to show you how I make what I call a critter pop. It's basically like a lollipop for your small animal. These can be used for anything that has the rodent-like continual growing teeth, like chinchillas or bunny rabbits, also guinea pigs, hamsters, gerbils, anything like that. The larger ones here I make for the bunnies, and these small little white ones here I make for my chinchilla, Gus Gus. Now, the things you're going to need are some coffee filters. These are some all-natural coffee filters, so they don't have any extra dyes or anything in them and are safe for the animal to chew on. It's just basic plain paper in a coffee filter shape. You're also going to need stuff to fill your critter pop with. I'm going to be using some Simple Rewards treats by Oxbow. Today we're going to be using some strawberry treats, some lavender and chamomile medley, which they all really love. This lavender smells absolutely wonderful, and they can smell it really well through the coffee filter, so they just kind of attack the treats as soon as I put them in their cage. Also some Simple Rewards Timothy treats, some papaya medley, some cranberry and rosemary medley, as well as some dried rose petals and stems. Now, I have a list of safe flowers that I'll eventually be putting up. These were given to me in a bouquet recently, and as they started to die, I went ahead and cut them up and laid them out to dry, and they're quite safe for the small animals to chew on and eat. It's naturally some of the safe flowers that they would eat if they were in the wild. I'm also going to be adding a little bit of alfalfa, just a pinch, because they really love the taste of it. Now, alfalfa is a great treat, but it's not something you want to use all the time because it is high fat content, and it'll put the pounds on your little critter really fast. Also, it's really high in calcium, and that can sludge up their urine and turn it kind of a white color, and that just causes all sorts of health problems, and you don't want that. So on occasion, as a treat, mine get a little bit of it about once a week with their normal hay, just as a little treat to spice things up, so it's not the same thing day in and day out, and they really enjoy it. But this bag will last me a long time, even with 3 rabbits and a chinchilla. So you're also going to need some sticks. These are some apple tree branches I got at local Petco. They're pretty cheap for a big bag, as you can see, and they last quite a while in my house. I use them pretty much just to make these treats with. I also give the sticks to my one smaller rabbit and to the chinchilla. The bigger bunnies kind of chew through these in no time flat, so I have bigger branches I give them on their own if I'm not making treats. Also going to need some sort of pet safe yarn or twine. Today I'm going to be using an all natural cotton that has no extra dyes or preservatives or anything in it. I prefer sisal, but I'm completely out of sisal. Sisal is actually what is used in most pet toys, but since I don't have any, I'm going to be using this. My pets like it just fine. They tend not to eat this like they do the sisal, so I watch them while they eat their treat usually. And when they're done, I just take the string back out of the cage so they don't have to worry about it. Otherwise, it just sits there. And we're just going to be using it to tie the pop together. And then a good old pair of scissors. So, what you're going to do, usually I have the bucket that we're sitting on upside down so I can contain the mess. But for today's purposes, I got it raised up upside down so you can see easier. You're going to take your coffee filters, and you're going to pick your treats that you're going to put in the middle of it today. And depending on how big you want to make the pop is how much you'll put in there. You can kind of play around with it. It took me quite a while to figure out how much to put in there and the different combinations that the animals like the best. I did find this on a couple different video sites, this idea, and kind of customized it and made it my own until I find what I really like and found what my animals really preferred. So today, I think we're going to be using some cranberry and rosemary medley. We'll start with that. This is a mixture of their Timothy pellets that they would normally eat, mixed with a little bit of cranberry and rosemary. It's very fragrant. It actually smells quite good. And I like to put fragrant stuff in it, some sort of medley mix, just because they can smell it through the coffee filter, like I said before about the lavender, and it helps attract them to the treat and the toy and want to play with it. Okay. I think we're also going to use a little bit of strawberry treats. These are like a freeze-dried type strawberry. So they come together kind of bunched up. They still smell really great. They smell amazingly like a strawberry still. And they come in kind of bigger pieces or clumps. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to break a couple pieces up and put them in there. So it's just not all one ginormous piece. Get some more out here. It kind of clumps up like that. And you just kind of got to break it apart into smaller pieces. Put there we go. Now, I don't want to use too much of the fruit stuff because fruit is really high in sugar. You could also use fresh veggies or fruits if you plan on giving the treat to your animal directly after you make it. However, be careful on what you use. There are some fruits and veggies that are not good for these little animals, such as iceberg lettuce. It has no nutritional value and should never be fed to small animals because it can cause what they call wet tail, and you really don't want that with your animal. So I recommend using spinach on occasion. It's a nice little treat every once in a while. Romaine lettuce is a good staple. We use that. They get a little bit of romaine lettuce every day. Carrots are good on occasion. Carrots are actually very high in sugar, so I don't recommend a lot of them all the time, but they are a great treat every once in a while. So today I think we're also going to be using some Simple Rewards Timothy treats. They're basically like their pellets that they get, since they eat oxbow pellets as well, except for these are in a fun shape form. I usually just break a few of these up in there for the bunnies. And these are a little more fragrant than the pellets are. They're made a little differently but have some of the basic same ingredients. So for the larger bunnies, I'll break like 3 or 4 of these little pellets up. And they're not too terribly big. They're just a small little circle. And I think I'll make this for my female bunny, Annie, so I won't make it too terribly large. I'm going to put just a smidge of papaya medley in just for the flavoring. There is a little bit of papaya in the mixture, a little bit of dried papaya. And I'll put like 1 little piece of that in there. It's just a simple pellet mixture, and you can see like there's 1 little piece of papaya mixed with some Timothy hay and stuff in there. You can see it's very fragrant though. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that in there. See if I can get that little piece of papaya on top there. Okay. And now I'm going to add just a smidge of some rose petals because she really, really likes these rose petals. Okay, and now I'm going to top it off with a little bit of alfalfa. Now I'm going to use the loose stuff in the bottom of the bag. As you can see, this alfalfa, there's the stems. The stems are usually what I give them on top of their hay as a treat because it still tastes really well. What I use in these is the loose stuff that kind of shakes to the bottom. So, and like I said before, alfalfa is a great treat every once in a while, but not a good staple in their diet. It's a legume hay, and legume hays in general are higher than calcium. What you want to stick with on a regular diet is some sort of grass hay, like an orchard grass, or a Timothy hay, or a brome hay. That's what's really best for them. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit on top. That's probably enough. Now, I'm going to change camera angles here really quick so I can tie this together and show you how it's done. Okay. So what you're going to do now is you're going to take the coffee filter, you're going to kind of gather the bottom up, And just try to shake everything and squish it all down to the bottom. And then you can kind of flip it over, and you can kind of tell how big it's going to be. You can judge that. You think if that's too much or not enough for your animal, you can always put a little more in or take a little out. I think that's about right for my female. She's about a 7-pound rabbit. She's in New Zealand, so she'll be quite a bit bigger when she's done growing, but she's only an adolescent yet, so. Okay, now next what you're going to do, now that it's all bunched up like this and looks kind of like a mushroom or a little bit like a lollipop already, you're going to cut some of this extra filter off the bottom, because you don't want all that on there. It doesn't look as pretty, and they're not going to eat all this coffee filter. They eat some of it, which is fine, like I said, because it's just an all natural paper filter. So it's quite safe for them. They just don't enjoy eating all of it necessarily. They like to eat the part that has soaked up the smell of all the different medley mixes, though, because it retains some of the flavor, I think, for them. So I think I'm going to cut just a little more of that off. Not too much, otherwise I've learned that if you get it too short, you don't have very much to tie, and it makes it kind of difficult, and your lollipop turns out kind of funny. So I'm going to leave about that much. Now what I'm going to do is pick out a stick. Try to pick out a nice one that's decent size for her, since she's quite a bit larger than my Chinchilla is. I usually save the little small ones for him and some of the bigger, thicker ones for the bunnies. Let's see. Here's a pretty good sized one. Okay. And now I'm going to cut some string. I always cut more than I need because I can always cut the end off. So I'm just going to cut a nice length of it. I'm just going to take it and start the tie on it and drape it around it. And just kind of gently pull it snug, not too tight yet. Then you're going to kind of open this up a little bit so you can kind of see in the middle where your treats are. You're going to take this stick and wiggle it down in there. Try to push it gently so you don't pop it out the back side of the paper, which I've done before too. It's not the end of the world if you do, though. Okay. Then you can give this string a good tight tug. Then what I do, just to make sure it stays on there, is I wrap it around the other direction and I tie it again. And this one I'm going to tie a third time, since it's a pretty big one, just to make sure we hold that stick in place. Then I'm going to knot the outside of it, and there you go. Now all you have to do is just cut your ends off. Just don't cut them too terribly short or you undo your knot, which I've also done as well. Took me some time to perfect how I really liked these. They're pretty simple, but you'll learn really quick how you prefer to make them and what your animal prefers as far as flavor. So, and then here you have your finished product, a critter pop. And if you want them to look prettier, you can always poke around on them and make them a little more round. Not that the animal cares so much how pretty they are, but I like them to be pretty when I put them in the toy basket for them. So, and like I said, I give these to my little guys about once a week. Each of them gets one, just because everything that's in there, even though a lot of the stuff that's in there is healthy for them, it also still is considered a treat, and it's not part of their necessary diet. So I try to keep these as a fun toy and treat for them. They're really simple to make, as you can see, and they're really fun to make, and I think it helps deviate away from buying toys at like Petco or PetSmart or whatever pet store you happen to have near you. I don't like buying a lot of store-bought toys for my animals. I've learned that a lot of them have certain types of woods, which I don't really deem completely healthy for some of the smaller animals, like pine. Pine can be okay if it's kiln dried, but you know, I don't know that I trust it completely when it's in a pet toy chew branch form that kind of flakes apart, because pine has been known to cause upper respiratory issues in small animals, especially in rabbits. So I steer away from pine type things, especially bedding or chew toys if I can help it. Also, a lot of the treats you buy them, the sweet treats, they really love them, but you know, we all love sweet treats, but they're really not good for them. They also contain a lot of extra empty calories and unnecessary sugars that they don't need. So this is one of the best things you can do for them, is just make them a homemade little treat that they get just every once in a while and help steer away from some of those unhealthier treats. So thank you for watching, and feel free to leave comments or questions below.